Here, I'll show you another guy who's wrong all the time. This motherfucker. So on the allegedly on our side of the aisle crowd, there's this motherfucker, Richard Wolff. Apparently, Richard Wolff thinks we're overusing the phrase authoritarianism when it comes to Trump.
Welcome, friends, to another Wolff Responds. I want to talk to you today about authoritarianism.
Okay, can you make it one word?
What I'd like to call the authoritarian hustle. Here's what it's about. The new way that leaders in the United States, political, media, big businesses, stodgy academics.
You fucking people in my chat room who look at fucking Trump and go, he's a wannabe authoritarian because he's said so. This is, by the way, this guy is a Marxist professor. Allegedly, he's a Jacobin. He's all over. Tom Hartman used to have him on all the time, right? To talk about, I don't know, workers' rights. He's like democracy in the workplace is one of his things, and it's all bullshit. Like this is he's one of these like. In the Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, fucking Lyndon LaRouche side of I'm for you. I like what you like. Let me tell you something. Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid guy, seriously adopted a group of kids that looked like the same one that Angelina Jolie adopted. Like he was really progressive racially during that time and all that stuff, right? And then killed everybody. Yes, Wolff is a gold pimp. That's true.
The way they do.
He's also got a huge 401k. He's very well to do. He's got, and again, an academic, which is so funny that he's saying stodgy academic when you can literally smell that room.
Talk about good and bad in politics has now become democratic. That's a good one. And authoritarian. That's the bad one.
Yeah, authoritarianism isn't bad. What's wrong with you guys?
For the older among you, let me explain. I have to translate. It used to be democracy versus socialism or communism. Well...
Wait. I'm sorry. So you think this is a dodge? Authoritarianism is just is what they're using as a substitute for communism, and that Trump's a communist?
Well, that went out of fashion, and so we know
they lost. You lost, Rock.
Now have democracy versus authoritarian.
Ism.
It's the same silly effort by childish people.
Jesus Christ. Listen to this motherfucker. Yeah, Timu Bernie Sanders. He had Bernie's ear for a good long while.
To do another round of we're good, they're bad.
Fuck you. We are good and they're bad. Democracy, asshat. This asshole runs a thing called democracy in the workplace. He thinks you should be able to democratize all jobs, that the workers should all have an equal say with the people who run it because he thinks hierarchical businesses are terrible, but he's okay with it in government? What the fuck?
We Americans are the goodness.
I am not slowing this down. This is at regular speed.
And they foreigners, they are way less good, and a good bunch of them are downright bad. But good and bad sound like the childish terms they are.
Okay. Do you want me to go through each of their activities and define them as bad? Sorry, explain to me how, it's all, we need to get into the gray areas. Authoritarianism can be, it's got its ups. It's got its good sides. I'm serious. This motherfucker. What the shit?
So instead, we're going to say democracy versus authoritarian. You all know this story. Yeah,
I think he sounds drunk too. I don't think you should drink and post, personally.
Hear it often enough. So here it is. The United States is good. Russia is authoritarian. The United States and Western Europe are good
And there it is.
and democratic. And Russia and China and the BRICS, well, they're authoritarian.
Good Lord. Yeah, he's drunk. He got his talking points and he's like, I'm going to need about a gallon of bourbon before I can say these on the air. And they are, by the way. I haven't been to Russia, but I've been to China. They're exactly that, motherfucker. They are exactly that.
You know, the idea of democracy is a good one.
The idea. The practice, though.
An authoritarian is clearly a bad one. But using words like this, simple-minded words, let's go back to what they actually mean.
How about this? No, I don't think we don't have to. You can if you want to. Fuck me. But how about explaining to me how Russia and China aren't in any way? Give me anything they do that doesn't fall under authoritarian. Right. Under authoritarianism, as it were. Hold on, I need to. Where's this? There we go. Say authoritarianism again, motherfucker. Say it again.
A democratic anything is when you have all of the decisions that affect people being made by those same people. We govern ourselves.
Right. For better or worse, majority rule in voting. Yes, that's what we do. Yes.
We make sure that anybody who's in a position of leadership is accountable. One person, one vote. That's the idea. An authoritarian is when you don't do that. When you have a single person or a very small number of people with the power to tell all the rest of the people how it's going to be and what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Russia's a fake democracy, clearly, but China, that's exactly how it's run. Literally, the Chinese Communist Party picks its leader. It's not even the CLA, the Chinese Liberation Army, is not the Chinese army. It's the army of the CCP.
This is sort of clear, but if you try to apply it to the United States versus other countries, it doesn't fit, like a shoe that's several sizes too small.
Or too big, I suppose. It wouldn't fit. I mean, there's multiple ways that they could fit.
You shouldn't even try. It's kind of silly.
Jesus. This, by the way, this is the guy who drove votes to Jill Stein and Bernie Sanders back in the day. This is the guy who argues for democracy in the workplace. That's the name of his show. Who was part of the Jacobins that was that Anna Kasparian was part of. And I think it should be abundantly clear that if we look back on it, this was all just paid bullshit so he could get on our side of the aisle and cut us from the inside.
Let me show you why that's the case. I went and voted like millions of others on the 5th of November.
And I'm still drunk.
I went into the booth here in New York City, hoping to cast my vote for someone other than the two main candidates if I had that choice. I know which one I would choose if I had to choose between the two main candidates. I am a New Yorker, and you know where that's going. But I had wanted to see who else was running. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that nobody else is running. No, wait. They are running, but some authority took them off the ballot, wouldn't let them on.
That's because you have to reach a certain standard so you don't gum up the ballot. You can't just say I'm on. You got to get the signatures. You got to qualify. We have to have an organized government, you dumb motherfucker. Sorry, the authorities, having authority now makes you authoritarian. That's the standard.
Wow. There are places in the United States where third and fourth party candidates who went through all the hoops designed to keep them off to get on, and are now discovering legally that the authority has said if you vote for anybody other than Trump or Harris, your vote will not be counted. Posted right up there in the voting area in more than one state. Wow.
Yeah, no. Each state has the right to make standards of their qualification, and there's only one fucking chance that either person will get there. It's a wasted vote anyways, and anybody just being a spoiler or filling out the fucking form, bigger states especially, richer states have higher standards because there's a higher chance of fuckery.
That's authoritarianism.
No, it isn't. It's simply having a standard in your elections. If you could build up a party over time, you could trounce the others. If the Green Party wasn't just having Russian fucking spoilers.
But let me give you even sharper examples.
That was not a sharp example at all, so the standard is pretty low.
Most Americans, or at least a large number of them, work for something called a corporation.
Oh dear.
Let's see how the corporation is run. Do all the employees
Remember what I was telling you about the democracy in the workplace, what this fucker's talking about?
have a vote to decide democratically what their enterprise, their workplace will do, what it will produce, what technology it will use?
No, they don't. But they can also leave anytime they want. It's not their company. Good Lord.
Where the production will happen, what they'll do with the revenue? No. A tiny group of people, utterly unaccountable to all the employees, makes those decisions.
No, actually, you are accountable to the employees. They can fucking leave. And if they can not sign a contract with you if you're a shit employer, or they can go work for somebody else. The corporations, look, you can't make the corporations fucking. It's not like they can't be terrible, but this kind of like blanket thing that fucking Cracker Barrel needs to listen to what its waitresses and waiters, what knickknacks. They have a meeting about what the fucking impulse gum will be next to the register because the dude in the kitchen has some ideas. Like, it's silly. And by the way, this asshole writes books. None of the people at the printing press have any say whatsoever in the content of his books. Maybe, here's a good idea. Maybe your students should be able to pass your class simply by walking out.
It's the opposite of democracy. You know what you might call it? Authoritarian.
No, it's a hierarchical business structure. But they don't have the authority over anybody that doesn't work in the business. The government is different. Does this asshole think that like Chinese companies and Russian companies are co-ops?
The CEO is a dictator inside the company.
No. No, if it's a publicly traded company, the stockholders have a say in whether or not that person gets hired or fired, what their package will be like. It can even be taken to court if they get too much. It can be the CEO could be the person who started the company or somebody who's hired to caretake the company. They have to report to the CFO. They have fiduciary duty to the investors. What are you talking about?
Can do virtually anything he wants.
This is Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff is allegedly on our side.
Certainly to the employees, right up including firing them. In most cases, the vast majority that have.
Right. But leaders of countries can't fire their citizens. That's why authoritarianism in a government is more dangerous than in a corporation. because there are other corporations. But if you live in a country, there's only one government. And if they decide to be authoritarian and fire you, that means rounding you up and fucking killing you, you dumbass. Good Lord.
No protection, no union, no contract.
What are you talking about? Biden was the most pro-union president we've ever had, and you're looking for a third-party candidate.
They're fired if the employer wants to fire them.
Not if it's against their fiduciary duty to the investors. If they fire somebody who is necessary to the company, don't believe me? Ask Sam Altman.
It's an authoritarian economic system.
No, it isn't. The economic system of an internalized corporation is not the economic system around it. As a matter of fact, it's a fish swimming in that ocean. The fish is not the ocean, you absolute asshole.
And we all live in it.
No, we don't. We live among it.
It's not over there. It's not foreign. It's very American. As American as apple pie.
Jesus Christ. 2 days ago. This video has 26,000 views. He's got 200,000 subscribers on this fucking channel.
So who's calling who authoritarian?
What? All right. Yeah. You get my point? That is, if you look at who chipped away at Democratic support for the Democratic Party and the actual function, the one that gave us an infrastructure bill and a rescue package and the CHIPS Act and the most diverse cabinet in our history and our first, like, women of color on the fucking court and, like, the first black woman on the court. Like, these are the people who chipped away. These are the people. Not the other side. Your opposition is your opposition. They're always going to shit on you. But the people who cut your fucking Achilles heel from the inside, it's motherfuckers like Richard Wolff. It's assholes like TYT, who used to have him on as well. That's who did it. And it's beyond the fact that it's gibberish and childish and intellectually vapid and philosophically useless, it's also violently wrong. He's just materially wrong about what he's talking about. Period. And again, I love Tom Hartman, but he used to have that motherfucker on all the time. For all I know, he still does. Does anybody, I love Hartman, but anybody know if he's had this fuckwad on there recently in the last 6 months? Because last year he was fucking all over the place. TYT tried to push Jon Stewart wants sex changes for children the other day. Yeah, that's what they do. It's like these motherfuckers that have watermelon slices in their Twitter handles and in some cases in their Blue Sky ones. Block. You don't get to sneak in. Look, symbology and the names that you run on. I'm an economic, I don't know, I'm for democracy in the workplace. That's what his show's called. You don't get to just call it that. And I'm like, oh, well, you must be a good guy. No, he hasn't. Oh, good, Mary. Well, I thank you, Tom, for finally listening to me. Because fucking A. Yeah, Phil Ittner took his place. I hope to God I'm responsible partly for Philip Ittner bumping Richard Wolff off of Tom Hartman. But this is all last year. When everybody's going like, wait, it's the prices of goods are coming down. We're managing our, the post-pandemic stuff pretty well. Who was out there with the fucking razor blades cutting away at Biden-Harris? So anybody who's talking about right now, what was the final nail in the coffin or the last slice in a death of 1,000 cuts? It's a dumb argument. It's a dumb conversation. It happened all along. And at this point, like, no more. If you come at me and you're allowed to have whatever you want in your fucking bio and shit, and you use your stickers, but if you start policing that on anybody else, if you don't have this rose, or we're all doing a blackout in our thing, or you put the black cube, or you put the fucking this flag or a rose or any of that shit, if you do any of that shit in your social media, that person should be jettisoned immediately if they're making other people do it. If they try to coordinate that shit. Have a whole conversation. Don't be afraid to have the whole conversation. You don't need passwords. You don't need... Mike Pillow wears a fucking cross on his lapel, and it's bullshit. He's not a Christian. It's a fucking farce. And if I can recognize that, other people can start to recognize that just because people like the words you like doesn't mean they like the ideas that you like or that they're on your side. Doesn't mean you have to automatically write them off, but they don't get a free pass. And so from this point on, folks, we're, if I have any say in this shit, and I think I will, is we're jumping past the jargon. Anybody who tries to use their label as a way of muscling their way to the front of the line can go fuck themselves, because it's too easy to commandeer. If you know the password and you're wearing the right fucking colors, or you're wearing a cross on your lapel or an upside down cross on your lapel, I don't give a shit. You don't automatically get a pass. We need to know what you really think and what you really believe. Again, I won't automatically exclude somebody, but I'm not gonna give you a pass. Yeah, it's too easy. It's gross. And Wolff is one of those people. Oh, I says 1971. Happy birthday tomorrow. Have a great birthday tomorrow. I hope it's lovely. I think it's lovely to wish people a happy birthday the day before their birthday, because you want them to have a happy birthday from whenever it starts, whether they celebrate from midnight, which some people do, or from their birth time, which I think is also valid. I also think if you want to extend it for the week, you are absolutely allowed. I says 1971, your happy birthday and happy birthday week. Okay, see this symbol right here? I made that. That's my symbol. That represents me. And what it means is that I believe a person is the sum total of their works and the sum total of their beliefs and their contradictions. You are not who you aspire to be, and you are not your failures. You are a mix, a tension between those things. That's who you actually are. And so you should be celebrated for who you are as a human being, a complete human being. Not just the parts you get right. Right? I mean, that's my humanity symbol. I think people have worth beyond the parts of themselves that they can commodify. And so that is the essence of, I drew that symbol on a piece of paper to explain to my acting teacher why I still needed to do stand-up, and why I still needed to sing, and why all of the different types of art and my hobbies with, physics and robots and all that shit that I do all of that is me. And none of it contradicts. And the tension and pull between all of those things makes me the human being I am. The good and bad in me, the distractions and the hobbies and the life paths and the identities, all of it, to no exclusion. And it supersedes all possible other symbols to me. Right? Because no other element of me is greater than the rest. That's the point. And it became more important to me since COVID, that symbol became more important to me since COVID because of all the people who either want to pretend they don't have any of the problems that they do and hide them all, instead of just recognizing the tension between the two. Me making this job look easy doesn't mean it is easy, but it doesn't mean I'm faking either. This is how I do it. And I'm not going to martyr myself on a cross of my own making. Doesn't work. It's not what I'm going to do. But I do want you to know that I feel the same about you. That I know you're full of contradictions or things you perceive as contradictions. And the tug and pull between your better nature and your best self and your worst self, the breadth of your knowledge and the breadth of your distractions makes up who you are as a person. And that's who I'm really talking to when I talk to a person. I'm not talking to the best self they're showing to me because they want to be polite, and I'm not talking to the person who the most shameful thing you've ever done in your life. People are bigger than that. And that's why I can soldier through this stuff, because that's what gives me the strength to do it. Because I am often inspired by every human being I meet and panicked by the glory of life. Even in its worst moments, it brings out the best in people, like clockwork. And that's important to me. It's a standard. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's. And I hope that you either find a symbol that that you recognize as that in yourself, or you use this one because it's totally fine. And all our people, the Patreons, the Blue Platch Brigade, that they've got one. But that's what it means. You're not the worst of you, and you're not the best of you. You're the tension between those things. And that's what makes you a human being. That's what makes you important as a human being. That's what gives you depth and beauty. And it also is what should make you sympathetic and empathetic to even those you vilify in certain moments. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. As a matter of fact, the tension of those thoughts is what makes you a good person, fighting against your baser nature. Those who have lost the battle, you can at least recognize that their arrows are uneven. It's crucial that you recognize that we all have the capacity for awful. And once you do, and you come to terms with it, and you recognize that the good in you is always at odds with that, and you can recognize where other people have lost that battle, and you can make a balanced decision in your own life as a human being about how to handle that. The one good thing that I think Marianne Williamson, I heard her say that actually stuck with me years ago was, unconditional love is not unconditional like. Unfortunately, it would come back to bite her in the ass. I'm sorry, Kelly, we'll get you one. This is, it's a crucial part of this. So anyways, I digress. It is crucial that you recognize that we are all, our flaws are part of the beauty. Because I know that you have things you struggle against, thoughts, feelings, emotions. We all do. And the fact that you do is fucking amazing. It's not that you don't have those thoughts. It's that you put one foot in front of the other in spite of that thing. That you are not fearless, you are fear-free. You still have it, but it doesn't own you. But you're aware of it so you can be aware of it in other people who maybe are overwhelmed who can't. Just my 2 cents for today.